Listen, you're invited to the How to Become Money Workbook, and here's why. I've been trying to record this and get this message to you, get this energy to you for the last 48 hours. And there are so many things coming through. I was going to try to have notes for you. I'm looking at my notes, they're not sharing. And I think it's just because I just need to say this. So if you have anything going on in your world right now around money, around life, around people, any energy that is not, I am power, I am awareness, I am creativity, I am control, I am money, and I'm going to get into that, then you right now in this moment are not being you. Now, I want to invite you to the workshop I have tomorrow, but I'm going to keep doing these. So just consider this your rolling invite. If you're free tomorrow, click the link, come join us. If you are free later, there's going to be another workshop. The How to Become Money workbook, hi, is my favorite and what I believe is the best change where you're functioning from with money tool in the world right now. I've done a lot of reading. I do a lot of reading. Yesterday, I spent all day studying investing. I opened some investment accounts. I listened to podcasts. I have, for the last 10 years, been actively changing and creating, hi Nancy, my reality. You guys know that. You've been following me, a lot of you. So this tool, which is a workbook by Gary Douglas, is a transcript of a class that was done. Why does it work? Okay. And what is it about this particular tool that you can take away and use in your own life? Let me give you two examples that showed up this morning. I had two people. One was in a class that I'm doing, and another was in a channel I have, basically say, I am so stressed out. My mind is all over the place. Hi, nice to see you. I got all this shit going on. What tool can I use? And literally the only thing that came to my mind was like, you've got to get into the How to Become Money workbook, because here's the thing, you guys, when stuff is not working in your life, do you guys ever know how you just feel bad? You just like are struggling, you're stressed, you've got stuff going on with the people in your life, and you end up your happiness and your peace and all that stuff that was so delicious when there were no people around gets totally washed away. That right there is a moment to pull yourself out of whatever it is you're allowing to have the best of you and change your energy. Why? Because if we keep allowing all these things that we're aware of, all these feelings, all these sensations, all of these things, if we keep allowing those things to run our life, guess what's going to suffer? Money. So the reason for the workbook is one of the things that happens is we start looking at what are all these energies coming up around money? What does money mean to you? What does it feel like to you? What are your three emotions do you have coming up around money? And how many of you guys, when you start to really get present with your internal biosphere around money, start to discover, man, I got a lot of stress in there. I got a lot of need. I got a lot of, there's never enough. I have to work hard for it. You find all this stuff that up until that moment is just this low growl of energy, right? And so what we're not connecting necessarily, the dots that aren't yet getting connected in our world are that low growl of need and this is never going to work and money is hard is what's creating your reality. You're being created by the growl. And so it's not that you have to, and I see a lot of us doing this thing where we keep choosing the next money program and money class and money clearing loop because we're looking for the answer, basically. I've done it. I remember the period of time where I was like money class after money class after money class. And please choose those. Like, I'm going to keep doing money classes, meaning choose what it takes to get you to where you're going to go. But I'm going to give away my own secret. And trust me, I'm going to do other money classes besides the How to Become Money workbook. But I'm going to tell you a secret. The best money tool on the planet to change all of that If you literally do this workbook 8 weeks in a row, dynamically, diligently, and in between doing the workbook, you apply those tools, the best money tool on the planet is the workbook. And the reason right now I'm doing it like just relentlessly is because you all know, I've told you this 3 or 4 weeks ago, I was again incapacitated by what I was feeling. I was incapacitated. I incapacitated myself with what I was feeling. So that was nobody's fault. And you could have, if we were friends, I mean, we were having coffee, we could have commiserated about that. But the commiseration wasn't changing what was showing up in my life. And what was showing up in my life was less and less and less and less and less. And 3 or 4 weeks ago, I was like, no more. This ends today. I am going to start consciously creating my internal biosphere and not let any other energy like be more dominant than that or me. And so instantaneously, I re-engaged. Instantaneously, money started coming in. Instantaneously, everything in my life started working. That's literally what the workbook teaches you. How many of you guys were taught very diligent energy habits? I wasn't. I wasn't taught that. I was taught very, very messy energy habits. I wasn't even taught that my energy was of any value, right? Like I wasn't even taught I was an energetic being, for fuck's sakes. You are, by the way, you're an energetic being. So when you function like a human being, which is all the thoughts and the feelings and the emotions, yes, exactly, Marcella. You function like a human being, and then you go try to get validation for that, or you try to get people to agree with you, or you try to get support for your feelings, then it's fine, but nothing really works very well. Like your life doesn't work very well. You start taking up the challenge of who you truly are, which is you are energy and space and consciousness, and you start actually consciously creating your internal biosphere, and you like choose what you're going to be and choose what you're going to be affected by and taken down by or not. You start taking up the challenge of who you truly are, and your life starts working in a different way. But who's teaching you how to be true, who you truly are? Great question. The How to Become Money Workbook. Because the only way money's going to work in your world is if you're being money. Money can't work in your world if you're being need. Money can't work in your world if you're being lack. If your dominant energy, because you are an energetic being, is lack and need and worry and all those heavy, dense energies, nothing's going to work. So you have to find your way to being light, spacious possibility energies, because that's what's going to then show up in your life. You're going to be functioning different. And I've told this story before, but I think this story is probably going to be my dominant money story for the rest of my life, because this hit home for me at so many different moments. I've had probably 3 or 4 very pivotal like about shifts with money. But my first one was the most dramatic, because I kept going after this creation of money or creating my life. I was trying to create a different life, right? Not trying. I was creating a different life. And I was a CF who wanted to be able to travel the world and have money coming in from anywhere at any time. And so I was doing it through engaging online with you guys and putting out offers, doing pretty well, but also my lifestyle was increasing with my and also I wasn't consistent and I wasn't persistent enough. And so eventually my lifestyle started taking over what I was willing to show up for myself in terms of income. And I was just living in constant stress, basically. I had chosen all this stuff and hadn't yet really built the business or myself, let me point that out, into the thing that could support these lifestyle choices. And one was taking over the other, and I was just in constant stress. And so I woke up one morning in my brand new, big house in Vancouver, and I had been spending the last 2 or 3 months, very similar to my most recent story, just stressed. And I finally got that if I didn't do the thing that Gary tells us to do, which is go through the workbook 100 times for $100 million, if I didn't do that thing, that this was never going to change. I was always going to return to my habit, my internal habit. And this is the thing you have to look at with money. What is your internal habit around money? habitually, where do you find yourself? And I mean, where do you find yourself? You're not being conscious about it. Do you find yourself in stress? Do you find yourself in worry? Do you find yourself in overthinking? That is your energy habit around money. My energy habit was to make these big choices, do the things, and then go into stress. Instead of, fuck it, I am money, I am power, I am creativity, I am, and taking up the challenge of who I truly am and creating, which is from there you can create a flow of money. But instead of that, I would go into all these lack, need, stress energies as if going there would create money. Guess what I learned? You absolutely 100% cannot create a flow of money from there. Why? Because it's not the truth of you. Those energies aren't real. They feel real. You make them real. You allow those energies and you make them bigger and you let them impact your world and your body and your head and all that stuff. That all occurs. But they're not true. The universe is like, you want more of those? Because what you're being, you have more of. So you're being all this stuff in the universe. You want more of those? Okay. So it contributes to you. Contributes more need, it contributes more lack. So you just get more of what you don't want, which seems weird. And I know a lot of people like, so all that it takes to go beyond them is the willingness to recognize that you are actively creating need and lack and struggle and all that stuff by your choices, by your messy energy habits. And you can actively create, I am power, I am money, I am control, I am creativity, if you're willing. But you're going to have to get to work in a different way. And I think the thing that we are avoiding is the work. I think this is the thing we avoid. We don't want to get to work. But you guys, we got to have a come to Jesus conversation about this money thing, because it's number one, you're never going to change it till you get bored. So if you're not bored yet, just go ask, what would it take to be bored? Humanoids don't change anything till they're bored. But the come to Jesus part of this isn't going to change magically on its own. Consciousness doesn't happen to you. It's something you've got to create for yourself. Just like I'm not going to give you this example, but just like Rome didn't build itself. And you know how they say Rome wasn't built in a day. Well, also Rome didn't build itself. Somebody had the vision of Rome. Somebody had the idea of Rome, and then they went after creating it. And they created Rome by all kinds, any means necessary, which I'm not necessarily encouraging, but why not? What if you could create a new reality for yourself to function from by any means necessary? Are you willing to put that much demand on yourself? Or are you just sort of kind of hoping that somebody does it for you and you don't really want to work at it? To become money takes the diligence to use the tools in the moment. And I don't know why I'm telling you this. Maybe I should just tell you it's magic. It'll just happen to you. And someday you'll wake up and you'll be an airy fairy money magnet. But I can't do that, because that's lies. You're going to have to stand up for yourself and stand up in your own life and actually get to work on your own behalf, instead of allowing all this shit that you're aware of and that you've gotten into the habit of being to run your life. That's what's occurring. That's all that's occurring. But here's what's great about that. I was talking this morning in my moving from angst to ease with money program. And I was speaking about this, and this is why I'm like, I need to go live. And then I tried to make you this beautiful spread anyway. And the thing that the example that came to my mind to sort of add to this, to give you a visual, is like, I was a very messy kid. So for those of you guys that don't know, my mom is basically a hoarder. And all that means is like, she's just allowed her entire life, including her yard, to pile up and backlog. She's basically doesn't want to be on the planet anymore and has let her life back up. But what that means is that as a kid, the example that I got around being tidy and organized was really not there. There was facets of it that were there, but mostly not. And so I got to learn very messy habits just in general. I didn't get to see anybody like taking care of their finances or even the house, really. I mean, we did take care of the house to a degree, but then it stopped. And so I grew up kind of messy. And I remember when I was first getting roommates, I was realizing that there's going to be other people in the house and I was going to have to like adjust. Instead of leaving dishes in the sink, I was going to have to like wash my dishes after I was done with them. And, instead of like getting undressed in the living room and just leaving my clothes there, I was going to need to get undressed in my room. And if I did my normal habit of getting undressed and leaving my clothes on the floor, then my room was going to get messy very fast. And then I wouldn't be able to have anybody in there. And so I started learning, like, for my life to have enough space for, number one, for me to move in it and for other people to be a part of it, I had to change my habits. And this was a real conscious thing for me, honestly. In fact, even today, I don't really like hanging up my clothes after I take them off, honestly. And most nights, you're going to find my clothes in that corner over there. But then the habit and the thing I've taught myself is to hang them up in the morning. Why? Because I like having a clean house. There's something that has gotten created where I really, really, really love walking into a sparkling, tidy house. It contributes something to me. But I have to be very conscious about that. I don't automatically do that thing. I don't automatically make the bed. You know why I make the bed? Because I really want you to see this corner right here and I want it to be neat. So I use these things to trick myself into different habits, but you might have to do the same thing with money. All right. So it's this thing where, like, there at a certain point you're gonna have to look around your life and go, is this enough for me? Is this actually how I want to keep living? And if I don't, what would I have to be willing to be and demand of myself for this to be different? So I have to stay very conscious and diligent around my life habits. The same was true about all my back end money stuff. Like, I let that get really messy. I've talked about that a lot. Like, I didn't file my taxes for years. And even this year I got behind. I missed the deadline for filing for 2022, and then I extended again. And I'm like, this is like pressing the snooze button, Crawford. We need to just get this done. So I'm getting it done. But I have these tendencies towards delaying and putting it off because there's stuff that I don't really want to do. I really would just rather my clothes hung themselves and my taxes just did that. I didn't have to do taxes. I would rather certain things. And sometimes I'll let myself kind of live in the I'd rather instead of in the this is what it is. And I'm going to pull up my big girl panties and I'm going to get to work. But what I'm discovering over time is that my life gets easier the more I pull up the panties. And this conversation is about pulling up the panties. And the coolest thing is that you don't have to do it on your own. You have support. There are workshops. I'm doing one tomorrow. There are tools. That How to Become Money Workbook is a $35 resource that you can do yourself if you're willing. But again, this is like one of those things where if you don't really sit and look at your situation and go, okay, fuck it, whatever it takes, whatever I have to be or do or have or create or generate with me for this to change, if you don't do that, it won't change. So this is my invitation to you to come to the class because they're awesome. They're life-changing. Even one, and then you can just re-listen to it over and over. And also to be something different with you. Be more demanding of you. For what reason do we just kind of let ourselves off the hook and let ourselves be miserable? Why is that okay? Why is it okay with us that we are mean to ourselves? Why is it okay with us that we can just live in the squalor, internal squalor of self-hatred and need and lack and all these struggle energies? Why are we allowing that? Why are we hoarding poverty? What if we were generous with ourselves, with what's really true? And I'm telling you, what's true about you is more beautiful than you want to know. It's more powerful. It's more resilient. It is more amazing than you want to know. But you can know. You are it. Now you got to choose to be it. And you've got to choose to cultivate it throughout your life so that your life can show up different. And that's what's true. So join me for the workshop tomorrow. Share this with a friend who needs a good pep talk, kick up the ass. And I'll see you in the next conversation.